It's pre-show time, everyone. It's that time of the week. Gather round.
Come on in, put your right hands in, pull your right hands out, put your right hands in, shake it all about, do the hokey pokey, turn yourselves around. And that, my friends, is what it's all about. You see, they're all hokey pokey. Isn't that great?
Right. We were talking about Hokie Pokie just before we came on, and I asked Charles who invented the Hokie Pokie, and he gave the history of the Hokie Pokie and the origin, and apparently it happened in England during the
During the Blitz in
Blitzkrieg.
1940. It, the Blitz was the bombing. The Blitzkrieg was how the Germans invaded places like Poland and all that.
Okay.
But the Blitz, London, in 1940, Al Tabor and his band struck up the hokey pokey. The same again.
That context is unbelievable to me. You're getting bombed, and it's time to invent a new dance. I'm just picturing the bombs hitting, and then everybody's in some bunker doing the hokey pokey. I guess.
That's right. And some of them are getting bombed, with pocket flasks and other things. You know,
Yes, of
I've
course.
known a lot of people who've invented new dances after they've gotten bombed.
Yes, I can
They often
imagine.
don't remember them. They often don't remember them. They often don't remember getting bombed, for that matter. They wake up the next morning and then they call you and ask, "Do you remember what happened?" And then you say, "Oh, sure, I remember." Don't you? And then they say no, and you could really, you know, take them on kind of a chase.
Hmm.
So you don't remember the policeman's hat and the lady with the hyena. What? Oh well, never mind. What lady with a hyena? No, that's fine. Don't worry about it. There's nothing. There's no lasting damage done. See, this is how you help people.
I don't need. I.
You don't need that kind of
I
help.
don't need that kind of help. That's like. Ugh. Yeah, I don't want that kind of help, please, Charles.
Twi-
That
Twilighting blackouts.
if I can
Not twilighting.
go to I guess it makes sense that my mind would go there, but I picture Godfather 2, what they do to the senator, where they help him out.
Well, okay. I look at it more. I look at it more like gaslighting blackouts.
Okay, there we go.
It's did what exactly happened last night? Oh, not too much. You don't remember? No, not after we hit the third place. Oh well, you didn't do anything too weird. But what did I do? Oh, I wouldn't worry about it. Nobody will remember. Well, what was it? It wasn't anything really. It's fine. I mean, you woke up in your own bed, didn't you? That's half the battle right there.
uh, okay.
My retired agent, Jake Elwell, the man who introduced him, the man John Weezer, to the agenting business, he had a wonderful saying: "If you wake up in a dry bed, that's half the battle."
In a dry bed. Wow. Wow.
That's it. Half the battle. Your day is already half made. Yeah, you're halfway there already. You're halfway on.
That's unbelievable.
What? Oh, you think it'd be better if you woke up in a wet bed? I don't.
I mean, I guess that's a nice positive take.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it is. I mean, you start out the day in a nice dry bed. Already things are looking up,
so dry.
especially if you're blacked out.
Okay, but
If
it
you had a
doesn't matter
blackout,
whose bed it is.
well, Okay, that could be a little bit embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's better to be your own, or
Yeah.
at least one you're vaguely familiar with.
Yeah. Oh,
Waking up in a completely strange bed. Uh, you know, waking up in a bed in a hotel room is bad enough. Waking up in a strange bed in a strange house is worse, especially if there's nobody there, because
yeah.
there's no one to explain or give context. I mean, if you
Right.
wake up in a hotel, yeah, you wake up in a hotel, you can go to the desk and say, "Do you remember how I checked in last night?" Or so, I mean, there's a neutral party there to guide you to reconstruct. But if you just wake up in some strange bed in some strange house, there's nobody around, you know, it's very difficult. And it's worse if things are missing, like your shoes, your wallet, or something.
Mm. That's yeah. So I guess you just get your things and then you walk out without incident.
Yeah, I mean that'd be the best outcome. But if your shoes are gone or your wallet's gone, then you've got problems.
Yeah. Mm.
Now waking up in your car with everything intact and the windows locked shows you were probably smart.
Now, actually, there's a remedy. Apple has a remedy for something you can put in your wallet. I don't know if you have an Apple iPhone, Charles, but
I do not.
one of
I
the
have the
things
other one.
Apple has is AirTags. I highly recommend. They're pretty cool. So I have an AirTag, and you put this in your wallet, and it's basically a permanent geolocation that's connected to your phone. So it's like
Oh,
I have one on my keys. I have one in my wallet. It's just so because I'm always losing my keys. It's like, oh, okay, they're over there. Oh, my wallet's over there. So pretty handy. But obviously, if your wallet's stolen, and someone has some proficiency in technology, they're throwing the AirTag out.
yeah, I'm sure that would go well. I mean, if you're Charlie the Unicorn, and you wake up with a missing kidney.
Oh, that's funny. My sister showed me that. That's so your sense of humor. This very dark. Um, yeah,
Charlie.
Charlie. All this vanilla friendly unicorns lure Charlie into this. I don't know what Candy Mountain or something, and then
The
he
candy
finally
mountain
goes
kept the
in.
candy mountain.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
he goes in, and then I don't know if he gets knocked out or whatever, and he wakes up, and they just stole his organs or something. What they
He
it's
stole his kidney.
kidney. Yeah.
Now the good news is he goes through several misadventures with those two, but eventually he gets his own back at them.
Ooh. Well, I'm sure
Charlie
that's.
the Unicorn does. He triumphs. It is a sweet victory. I'm not kidding. It's a sweet victory. Charlie gets his own back.
I'm actually gonna write that down. I'm actually gonna write that down because that feels so good just imagining it. Charlie the
Oh,
Unicorn.
he gets. Believe me, the two Nasto unicorns end up paying big time.
All right. After the show,
They'll be
I'm
sorry
gonna
they
be
ever.
watching.
They'll be sorry they ever messed with Charlie. Let me tell you, morons, little twerps. Nothing I hate more than twerp unicorns.
Yeah, I know what you mean. All right.
Well, wait. There's more. There's much
Oh,
more.
what?
You know what's? Well, we're in the last week of the liturgical year. I
How do you?
mean,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, Guy Lombardo would be if he hadn't been all consumed with the civil year, Guy Lombardo would have been playing Old Lang Syne as we speak.
Is that true?
No, it's not. But it is the end of the liturgical year. We have, let's see, today is in real time, today is the 24th, which is the feast of St. John of the Cross in the old calendar. Uh, Saturday, a week from yesterday, is November the 30th, St. Andrew's Day. And you know what that means. All you Scots, it's the feast it's the national patronal feast of Scotland. And so, if you got any Scots blood or any interest in Scotland, or you play hopscotch or whatever it is, uh, it is for you what St. Patrick's Day is for the Irish. So, if you belong to a St. Andrew's Society or a Caledonian Society or anything like that, you'll sometime this coming week you'll probably have a dinner of some kind in honor of your patron.
Hmm. All right. Excellent. What about Thanksgiving, Charles? What are you doing for Thanksgiving? You gonna have a turducken?
No, sadly, normally we have here at the ITI on Saturday night we will have a big Thanksgiving feast. Unfortunately, I will be in Budapest, so I'm going to miss out.
Oh.
Thursday is not a holiday here, so uh,
Oh. Okay.
I mean,
They don't celebrate the pilgrims sitting down with the Indians?
Indians, no, they don't actually. That's not a big deal in Austria for some reason, but it is a big deal at the ITI. So there's going to be a Thanksgiving Day dance, but it'll be Saturday night. There'll be a big feast, all that. It just won't be on the actual day.
Okay. All right, let's do some questions. Nate has a good question. He says, I just listened to the pre show where Charles talks about his favorite military commanders. Well, one of my favorites is one that is very underrated, which is Bohemond I of Antioch, who was one of the leaders of the Normans from southern Italy. Who he was certainly most experienced military commander of the First Crusade. He seems to have been a very warlike and strong man with a very fiery temperament, which I can relate to being a Southern Italian man myself, as can I. Can Charles elaborate further on this man's life and exploits? Also, have any Catholic authors written anything we can read on him?
Well, Rodney Stark's God's Battalions is the best recent book on the Crusades, so I would recommend it highly. Bowman, he was all the things you mentioned, but he was also kind of a difficult individual. And he didn't get on very well because of his temper with the other members of the crusade. So, after they seized Antioch, after the siege of Antioch, he stayed. The others went on to Jerusalem and eventually liberated it. And he settled down as the first prince of Antioch. And the principality would last until 1291. His descendants ruled Antioch. I don't really know how long Bohemond's people stayed as princes of Antioch. Uh, that's a good question. And I know they intermarried with the kings of Jerusalem, but the question is, he is the son of Robert Giscard, who's one of the leaders, the Norman leaders, as you say. But yeah, he ended up as Bohemond II was his son. But the question is, how long? Yeah, Bohemond the second lasted. He had a bunch of regions as ruler of Antioch. But who were the? How long did Bohemond's people last? Uh, Quite a long time, actually. Yeah, Bohemond the sixth. The Bohemond's, gosh, they ended up uh, till till the 1290s, till the whole thing collapsed. He, wow, that's something. The last of them, Bohemond the seventh of Antioch, Died in 1207. When he died, the only part left of the Principality of Antioch was the port of Latakia. And that was pretty much the end of the Principality of Antioch. But it was Bohemond's descendants. So for a good almost 300 years, for almost 300 years, they continued to rule Antioch. So that's something. Oh.
Okay. I had to map some things out there. I actually didn't know the location of Antioch before, so
Well, now in Turkey. It was the capital of Syria. But if you look at the map today, you'll see the Turkish border loops down on the Mediterranean and includes the city of Antioch, Antakya. And of course, Antioch was a great Christian city. It was the first place where Christians were called Christians. And it was one of the 5 great patriarchates, the others being Rome, Alexandria, Jerusalem, and Constantinople. Antioch, the Patriarchate of Antioch was founded by St. Peter, who set it up before he went to Rome. And if that weren't bad enough, there are today 5 individuals called Patriarchs of Antioch. There's the Greek Orthodox Patriarch of Antioch, the Catholic Melkite Patriarch of Antioch, the Maronite Catholic Patriarch of Antioch, the Syrian Orthodox Patriarch of Antioch, and the Syrian Catholic Patriarch of Antioch. So you have 5 Patriarchs of Antioch, none of whom still live in the city itself. They all live in different locations in Lebanon and Syria, but none of them live in the city of Antioch itself any longer.
I see. Looks like it does. It's not like Istanbul was once Constantinople situation. It looks like this isn't a big city anymore. I mean, it looks like
No,
it's not much
no,
there.
it's not.
Yeah.
No, not much going on. There are a couple of Catholic churches, a couple of Orthodox churches, and the Christians who live there are very proud of it. They're very proud of being who and what they are. But not much going on. Because Istanbul was Constantinople, now it's Istanbul, not Constantinople. Why Constantinople get the works? It's nobody's business but the Turks. Whereas Antioch is still Antakya. It was Turkish until 1920, I think. And then the French took it over as part of Syria. And then they were forced to give it to Turkey in 1939.
So, yeah, I'm not a history buff, so I'm mapping a lot of the other things out too. So, we've got a Southern Italian who was
Norman.
Norman, and then he's got of Antioch. So
yes, because
they conquered that area.
Well, they conquered. He joined the Crusade, the First Crusade. He led a bunch of Normans from southern Italy, and they marched all the way to Constantinople, then crossed over into Asia Minor with the rest of the Crusaders, fought their way across Asia Minor to Antioch. There was a big siege. They took the city, then they were besieged, then they broke the siege. But then the question was, what do we do with it now? And Bohemond got into a big row with the other leaders, and he said, "You know what? You guys go on. I'll just stick around here." And that's what they did.
Okay.
And then his descendants ruled the city until it fell again to the Muslims almost 300 years later.
Right. Nate also says, how did Catholic monarchs deal with pornography in the past? Assume it was a crime to produce it or sell it. Was it a problem in the Middle Ages, or did it only arise during and after the French and other Masonic revolutions?
Well, the pornography issue is very much a result of technology, obviously. Before there was a printing press and woodcuts. People made dirty pictures, but there just wasn't the means of distributing them. and of course they weren't photographic. So, but I mean, you had pornography on the walls of Pompeii. You know, uh, there's not a single sin you can think of that uh, man hasn't gotten up to from the beginning. But in Catholic times, that kind of thing fell under the church courts, the Inquisition.
Okay.
Moral problems, in other words.
Nate also says, I know Charles is a very experienced Catholic speaker. I give a lot of talks on various Catholic topics at my young adult group. Does Charles have any tips for me or anybody else on how to give a good presentation or talk?
Well, for one thing, don't fall asleep during your talk. That's very important. If you can't stay awake, neither will your audience. But no, seriously. Well, one thing is, if you feel stage fright, that's a good thing, not a bad thing, because it means you respect your audience. And my dad, when I asked him, he was an actor, and I said, "When does the stage fright go away?" And he said, "If you're any good, never, because stage fright is the respect you feel for your audience. You don't want to be an idiot in front of them. So that's a good sign, not a bad one." Uh, and to this day, yes, I'm an accomplished speaker. I still feel stage fright, until I open my mouth, then I'm fine. But between walking, getting on the stage, and walking to the mic and talking, I hate it. It's awful. But that's the price I pay for getting up in front of people. Um, but to answer your question a little more seriously, uh, yeah, the way the way you speak, uh, in any case, be sure to use a lot of changes in tone, modulation of your voice. If don't speak in a monotone, in other words, because we'll put people to sleep no matter how interesting your topic. Uh, Use a lot of humor, especially the more serious the topic, the more humor you should use. The reason being that if it's a really heavy, 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 heavy topic, uh, your audience will become uncomfortable. And strangely enough, unless you're trying to inflame them, uh, it's better to get them to laugh than to simply sit there seething. Uh, and of course, know your stuff. Uh, be sufficiently aware of what you're talking about to answer any questions they have.
All right. John says, the more I've studied history, the more I noticed examples of conquerors adopting the culture of the conquered. Is this an accurate conclusion?
Well, it is if the conquered are more advanced, uh, technologically or in other ways, than the conqueror, which often happens because you have people who are very civilized uh, fall behind in the arts of war. Very often, people who are very barbaric are quite good at that kind of thing. But then what happens? They conquer. They've got a fairly primitive manner of life, and they find the people they've conquered have a much more pleasant way of living than they do. And so it's kind of a natural human thing to begin to absorb the interests of the conquered if they're more pleasant than what you came with. I mean, uh, if you've got I mean, you see this with the Roman invasion, obviously with as I were, the Germanic invasions of Rome. You see it with the Muslim invasions of the Eastern Roman Empire, uh, Byzantium, in other words. You see it with the Mongols in China. You see it
What
with
about the
the.
Mongols in Europe?
They didn't last long.
Hmm.
Uh, they were driven out of Poland and places like that. And they did absorb a great deal from Russia. But even the Russians at that point were not that much more advanced than the Mongols were, than the
Hmm.
Chinese were.
I see.
And they really took to Chinese culture until the Chinese threw them out.
Interesting. Okay. Um, what historical events or topics would Charles like to see in film or TV more?
Well, I'd like to see a movie about the Papal Zouaves. I'd like to see a movie about Kaiser Karl, of course. I'd like to see movies about the Vendée and the counter-revolution. There have been a few, but I'd like to see a lot more. Movies about the Carlists in Spain, the Miguelists in Portugal, Andreas Hofer in Tyrol. I'd like to see movies about the Loyalists in our revolution. You know, uh, one book I'd love to see turned into a movie is Kenneth, what's his name's book, Oliver Wiswell. That would be a tremendous film.
Is that's on the Loyalists?
Yeah. Now he did books like Northwest Passage and Drums Along the Mohawk that were turned into movies. Very good movies too. But the one he did from the Loyalist point of view, Oliver Wiswell, for some reason was not made into a film. And I would love to see that as a movie.
Huh. Okay. Traces the adventures of a Yale student who's deeply loyal to the established government of the colonies. Wow, Yale's that old. I didn't know it was that old. Okay.
1600s, but who's counting? The 1700s, but early 1700s.
What about you? I'm always thinking about the topic that you said on the show. I thought once upon a time you really wanted to write a book on this, and I thought it was so novel. It was on the people in Eastern Europe who are resisting the Reds. Were they the
Oh
whites?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The white yeah. They get referred to slightly in films like Dr. Zhivago and so on. But yeah, what got me was that they made that movie Reds, and I thought, why not a movie called Whites about the White Russians? There's a story that hasn't been told. But who cares about those people? They were losers, not like the commies.
Hmm. Ah, I love White
And
Russians.
just think, if the commies had won in the Spanish Civil War and Franco had lost, half the people attacking Franco today wouldn't be alive.
Right.
Their grandparents would have been slaughtered, and so they wouldn't have to worry about anything. They'd be out of the great empyrean of the unborn.
Ah.
Wouldn't that be better than having them here yapping? Like the Spanish Prime Minister. There's a man who could, if he had never been born, the world would be a better place.
Yeah, tell us about him.
No, he's not worth talking about.
Okay.
He's like Gavin Newsom or Justine Trudeau without the charm.
The charm? Is there a charm there? I don't know. You're being a little generous.
Well, charm,
Kind of
in
this
a kind of a
greasy.
in kind of a greasy snake oil salesman kind of way. Step right up, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Silver's Golden Elixir, good for what ails you. Why, look at this man right here. I know he looks horrible now, but before he started using Dr. Silver's Golden Elixir, he couldn't move. That kind of thing. You know what little Justine Trudeau was doing yesterday?
What?
While the hordes of Palestinians that he invited to Canada were burning down Montreal, he was shaking his groove thing at a Taylor Swift concert.
Uh-oh.
What?
That's very Nero of him.
Yes, it is. What a piece of garbage. I mean that in the same sense I would say it about Governor Newsom, though.
When is he done? Like,
Uh,
when is his time coming? It feels like it's been like a decade
well,
between
it's
these
been
two
9
guys.
years.
It's been
It's
9
9
years.
years that we've had little Justine as the prime minister.
What's the limit
His wife
here?
finally dumped him. Oh, there's no limit. Whatever morons will take.
Seriously?
Yeah. The crap prince, the prince of crap, could be there forever.
You're
They
telling
keep reelecting him.
Canada doesn't have term limits.
No, of course not. They keep voting. They keep voting for the Liberal Party. They'll keep getting the trash man.
The trash man.
Yeah, little Justine, the trash man, the man of trash, made of trash.
I asked Charles this question. I'll ask you guys too, you patrons. Who would you choose between Trudeau and Newsom? And death is not an option.
And my response was, have you ever seen them apart? Have you seen them together? How do we know that Gavin Newsom and Justine Trudeau are not the same person? Don't you get with both of them? Don't you have the same desire to take a shower with a Brillo pad?
To get clean,
You know,
really scrape that off.
Steel wool, just steel wool.
It's like a.
I mean, they inspire the same kind of disgust in me Richard Gere used to.
Why Richard Gere? I mean, I guess I'm not. He's kind of before my time.
Well, yeah, when he was young, he was in things like American Gigolo and all. It's just disgusting, and I couldn't stand him. But believe it or not, Axel Christian gave me a little more respect for the older Richard Gere. I still can't see his early pictures; they're just gross. But it would be Chicago and the Mothman prophecies in one night.
Wait, say that again. What about Chicago and the Mothman prophecies?
They showed me the two films, Chicago, which is a musical, and the Mothman prophecies, which is about this weird occurrence in West Virginia. What's his face? Gere stars in both of them and does a really good job.
Yeah.
Very, very different movies. I mean, they couldn't be more different. So
yeah.
He doesn't disgust me the way Newsom and Trudeau do.
Well, the main movie that I see him in, because I like the movie a lot, it's The Jackal. And Bruce Willis, sort of this villain, this cold-blooded villain, this assassin. And Richard Gere's the good guy. And he's like the weakest good. It's like you're rooting for the villain because he's got more. Like he's against Richard Gere, even though like he's like killing all these people. It's like, yeah, you're against Richard Gere though. So.
Oh gee.
Yeah.
So many people being killed. That's awful.
Yeah.
The Jackal shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing for him to do. He shouldn't be doing that. I wish he would stop. It's just not nice. I don't think it's good. Is he that bad? I haven't seen the film, so I'm asking.
Bruce Willis is a great actor, and he has a great role, and Richard Gere is like nothing. So it's like, it's playing with your mind, that movie. Sidney Poitier's in it too, and obviously he's good, so you're kind of rooting for him.
He's always
good.
Sidney Poitier's always good. I don't blame him.
You know what I still need to see? I always hear about this movie. Is Look Who's Coming to Dinner. I really need to see that movie.
Guess Who's Coming
to
Dinner.
Or Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Yeah. Is that worth seeing, Charles?
Will you hate me if I tell you I saw it when it came out?
I wouldn't. I mean, that's... Sure. Well, is it worth seeing?
Yeah, it's worth seeing.
Yeah.
Although the comedy is a little bit lame now because the idea of an interracial relationship, nobody cares anymore.
No, but I mean, I appreciate the context of that time. Like, I can transport to that, to understanding what it's like back then.
Now, if the girl came home with a white guy, it would be shocking if her family was sufficiently liberal. We didn't send you to Harvard to have you come home with some white person, especially not one with a MAGA hat.
Imagine that. Oh no, you can't have that.
I wouldn't want a MAGA hat on my fellow either, but there has to be something in between. There's got to be a morning after.
You're
got
suspect.
To be a morning
Yeah.
after.
I knew there was.
I was biding my time.
All right, that's it. That's gonna do it for the pre-show, everyone. We hope you've enjoyed it, but stay tuned for the full episode.
And as a giggling cuck, I feel that there's got to be a morning after.
Yes.
As Sergeant O'Leary used to say.
Did he?
Yeah, well, he did because he used to after he'd walked his beat, he used to become a bartender. Work at Mr. Cacciatore's down on Sullivan Street.
Okay,
across the medical
we'll
center.
see you at the full episode, guys.
I feel like I'm being shuffled out the door.
Stay tuned.
See you in a few minutes, guys.